All right. And three, two, one. Are we recording? Does it say we're recording?
It says recording, yeah.
It does say recording? Okay, I have my
Yeah, it
my
always
bar
makes
up at the
for
top, so I can't
makes
see if
for a
it's
good
recording
couple
yet.
first seconds.
Yeah. All right. So three, two, one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, people that listen to the Breathe Human podcast, welcome to another edition. I have a very special friend. We got Joe right here. This man has a crazy story of trials and tribulations and tragedies and triumphs, and the direction his life has taken and the philosophy and the perceptions that he now looks at life through, the lens that he has achieved is pure beautiful. And I'm really excited to share your story, Joe. I know you got a lot of nuggets on what people can apply from those stories and how people in hurting and silence could use some guidance and direction. So, Joe, thank you so much, man.
Oh wow. Well, thanks for the warm tinglies there with the introduction, man. I appreciate you so much. I great respect for you as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, definitely mutual, man. So, to kind of catch people up, Joe, you're on a little bit of a journey right now, man. You're competing for $25,000 with the Isabody challenge, and let's talk about that real quick. How's that going?
Yeah, well, they uh they just passed that up last at New Year kickoff. They announced to who took that down, and sadly, I had known since December 15th when they did it and they recorded it virtually, since this year was quite a bit different, and we weren't able to meet in person. That's actually where I met you, was at a live event like that, a big one with our company events, and got to know you. But yeah, I was in a running top 15. They just choose 15 people, have also transformations. It's not all weight loss. It can be I put on some weight, but the backstory of everything too. And they pick 15 people with the story and the physical transformation. I believe there was over 40,000 people this year, so it was a pretty big feat, man. It was a goal of mine to win it, and as you said, the journey we've been on, started to think a little bit bigger, dream a little bit bigger, and it led me to where I'm at, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface of where we're going.
Dude, absolutely. So let's talk about the transformational journey. What prompted such a journey? And if you like, we can kind of dive back into your backstory as to how far back you want to go and where this journey really began.
Yeah, well, I'll answer that question. And if we want to go back, man, I'm an open book, vulnerable and as authentic as I can be. So we'll go back to it. But that thing, that moment that changed everything for me was actually in the moment of one of the lowest points I'd ever been, and just really just had no purpose, no passion for life, no vision for what I wanted to achieve. And I've learned how dangerous it can be with a person that doesn't feel like they have a purpose, where they can go mentally and all that. And it was this day, and I saw a friend I hadn't seen in over 5 years. I was selling some supplemental insurance at the time. I was on the road 5, 6 days a week, and I sold him some insurance. And I didn't know he was doing a lot of personal development work, very successful financially, and all these things. And he just looked at me for like seriously 5 seconds straight. Just looked at me. I was like, he's going to ask me something, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I was kind of awkward. And he just says, "You don't look like you're very happy or fulfilled. Are you satisfied with like what you're doing?" I was like, whoa. Oh, how many other people have seen that? Because I definitely wasn't, but we wear those masks, right? And there's that moment, and we fast forward and had a great conversation. Fast forward 8 months, I say, invited me to a personal development event, but kind of forcefully got me to it and said it would change my life. Didn't know what I was going for exactly yet, but it's a 4-day deep dive. And it was at that event, man, I was quiet for 3 days. You know me now, I don't shut up. I didn't talk for 3 days. I was listening to people's stories and what they've been through. And I'm like, what am I doing here? These people have been through so much. And I think we limit ourselves. I learned on the third day that we limit ourselves, that our story is our story and people need to hear it and it can impact people. So I realized that I had a drug abuse problem. And it was at that event that I declared, from the heavy drugs that I was kind of engulfing my days. And, if we want to go into that, we definitely can. I got up and declared it on the third day in front of people after being quiet that I had a problem and I was done. And honestly, since the day that I declared that, I've been clean from that stuff, and it's coming up on 4 years. So that was the moment that changed me. One conversation with somebody looking through the mask, seeing something more in somebody, taking a stand for me when I wasn't taking a stand for myself. And it's changed everything in my life for the better in the last 4 years, that one conversation.
Sounds like an angel to me.
He is, man. I try to tell him what he's done for me, and he's pretty modest about it. But someday I hope there's a way I can repay him for everything he's done.
I think when it comes to that, the individuals that are those angels, you paint it back as being successful in achieving that higher version of yourself and ascending. That's the repayment.
For sure, 100%, and he would be 100% satisfied with that. Tenfold.
So let's explore this, man. We brought up some great points. Personal development, man without a vision, how reckless that can be. Mirroring the GPS and missed opportunities. Let's talk about missed opportunities, because when people are closed off, right? And most of us are closed off. We have a blindfold on, ignorant, naive, whatever terminology you want to apply, right? When we're closed off, we're not open to those opportunities. The magic that's missed because of that is almost immeasurable. How many opportunities do you think you said no to that life presented to you that could have corrected you and put you on a stronger path?
Man, that's rough to even think about. It's painful. I try not to live in the past. I go dip back in there a little bit, and then I'm like, well, I can't change it. Maybe to who I am going forward. But man, I would say like a 9-year stretch from when I graduated college and kind of lost my identity of competition and just went down the track of not knowing what to do. That 9-year stretch, shoot, I probably missed 5 to 10 good opportunities each year. So heck, we could talk 75 to 100 opportunities probably that could have changed my life for the better, right? But who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very hard to quantify anything like that. Very hard. It's so difficult. Now let's take that and let's apply it to anybody that might be listening to this. Anybody that might be saying no to opportunities. What would you, and I know we just shared it through your story of what could happen, but what would you say to somebody that is walking through life that are saying no to everything that could be perceived as somebody trying to help them?
Yeah. And I think there's a way to approach it. And I think a lot of times we don't have the invitation. People want in. They want people to come into their life and help them. They need support. They need help. I know women struggle with this too, but I feel as a man, maybe we harness our emotions and are not very vulnerable. We don't talk about those things. We bottle them up, and stress is crazy. It can be the most dangerous thing in your life. We bottle those things in, and when we're just so unhappy with ourselves, we don't want to hear it from anybody else, right? We don't want to, that's where I was. And I feel like I can feel that energy from people, and they look down or whatever, and they just need somebody to talk to. We don't push it on them, and we just figure out what people, what they like, what they're passionate about, maybe where they strayed off the path and how we can get them back on. When people start feeling that people care about them without forcing them to do stuff, I feel like that's where the magic really, really happens. So anybody that feels lost, feels dark, I think the most important thing you can do is, I'm not saying get rid of your friends. I'm not saying get rid of the fun things that you enjoy, but try to get some mentors online, whatever. Listen to some people that have some podcasts. Start just researching, looking around, seeing people that are famous in that. If you get around positive energy, even a little bit, even if it's not one-to-one with a human, that positive energy is going to start seeping into you. And if you do more and more and more and more of it, you're going to be feeling those emotions, feeling those happinesses. But I feel like a lot of people don't know exactly where to look. I feel like that's where it's our part to be out and be vulnerable and share that. So we kind of open up the door and to say, you know what, feel comfortable, come on in here, ask me whatever.
Yep. And we can go a few different directions with that, but the empowerment through vulnerability is super important, especially as a man. We're kind of conditioned to turn certain things off. But in today's day and age, anybody that's listening that's a man or a woman that's trying to figure out her man, it doesn't work like that anymore. A strong man's power comes through vulnerability and being in touch with those, and what I found working with people in my programs and, getting my master's in psychology is, if we're ashamed and we feel the guilt for the past and we don't confront those emotions or let those emotions flow through us, we can never achieve our full potential. Because if you're ashamed of a part of who you are, then that's going to hold you back, because you're actually ashamed of yourself, your being. And through our journeys, and you said, when we stray off the path, but I think that there's only one path. It's straight. You're just either down or up on that path, right? So you're on your path, because when those tragedies strike, if those tragedies lead to great triumphs, was it a tragedy?
If you're asking me there, no, I don't believe it is a tragedy. I really like that up and down. It is, because life is ups and ebbs and flows, right?
Mhm.
The objective, I think, is try to keep those lows as quick as possible, and as low as, not as low, just really shallow lows, keep them highs up. You can't stay up all the time, right? But if you do the work, you do the personal development, you don't judge yourself and critique yourself and blame yourself for what you did yesterday or the last 10 years. We both know that we, maybe not the right terminology, but we feel we burnt up some years not serving our purpose. Lots of them.
Absolutely. And that's what the drugs, the excess women, all that, not respecting your sexual energy, those are all sedating factors. We sedate ourselves because we don't want to either put the effort in and try and climb the mountain that the vision that life has given us. But yeah, man, we could go a few different ways. My mind just went berserk right there.
I think you were just like, holy crap, I think me and Joe are like the same person. That's what I was thinking of you. I was just like, we've lived the same style, and
Yep.
I don't want to go too up, but like when I met you and you just feel that different energy, and you're just like, we were still having drinks at that time and all that stuff, having a good time. And I was just like, there's something different about that guy. I'm gonna figure it out. I don't know what it is. Here we are a couple years later and learning that our backstories are very similar. We cover it up, right?
Strong jawlines, hats, black shirts. We didn't plan this. This is natural, baby.
Oh, smart. We're smart.
Amen. You did have a point, and I think this is a very valuable one. And this ties into not having vision and not having that compass, that GPS tuned in. If we don't know the tragedies of others, we don't know where to place ourselves on a scale, right? Because when we would go to these events and you see those people, the network marketing millionaires, the successful people have impacted tens of thousands of lives. We see the glory, but we don't know the backstory. Oh, that's a good one. We see the glory, but you don't know the backstory. Remember that, God, we recorded it. Hey, when they get up there and they tell the story of the shit they went through and the worst things that they went through, well, now you see the spectrum and you're like, well, by my account, I actually am halfway on that. This person was way off than me and they crushed it. Now it helps reinforce the belief, okay, maybe I really can do this. Now the question is, how? How do we achieve that, right? So when you go to these events, when you say yes to an opportunity, you go there and you hear the stories, it helps tune your GPS. Where am I at? Where can I fit in? And then where do I go, right? And that personal development is the next answer, right? Is the answer to that. Let's talk about that, because when I was in college, when people tried talking to me about personal development, I thought it was the stupidest thing. I'm like, what is personal development? Like, that's so cheesy. Did you have the same take on that, like when you were growing up?
I remember it being tossed around and never took it serious. Like I was like, oh, cool, whatever. Like I was so drawn into this sports and, like you said, women and partying and all those things. So it's like I remember the word going around, but I didn't actually even know what it meant. Personal development, like whatever. I did the athletic part well, but I didn't really do the student part well. And so I think the personal development aspect fit right in that student thing. I just didn't take the time to work on myself, and it showed.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say your definition of personal development is, man?
Any mode, form, concept, strategy that is looking to improve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, how many ever aspects of your life. I mean, start small, try to improve one thing in your life. Personal development is just making an adjustment that's going to make your life better. It could be as simple as not watching TV or looking at your phone for an hour before bed, and instead doing some visualization of how you want your day to go, and maybe journaling out your goals for the next 6 months. I am this, I'm going to achieve that. You plant your subconscious mind, and you're going to sleep on those thoughts before you go to bed. It's the last thing you think of, and you're going to think about it while you sleep. Personal development is going to wake up. If you keep thinking about all those positive things you want to do, and you wake up in the morning, start paying attention. You're going to wake up with a better smile on your face. You're going to get more rest. Like that could be that. Yeah, people look at it as just reading books or listening to podcasts or going to events. Like, yeah, those are the big things. But personal development is just saying, hey, where can I improve in my life? Even just tweak it a little bit to make a little bit of an improvement and just see how I evaluate it. And like you just said, open to opportunities. You said that many times. All right. I know I'm not satisfied with where I'm at exactly. I don't know exactly where I want to go, but can I change something with my health? Can I change something with my finances? Can I change something with my spirituality? Can I change something with my relationships? Yeah, I could really use some mentorship. All right, well, start finding some mentors online. Talk to Alex, talk to people that have done the work and gone through it. Like personal development can be any little adjustment in the direction, like you said, you're on your path. One thing that's going to put you on an upslope to getting better.
Do you feel like people feel overwhelmed with that?
I definitely feel they could, because I definitely was right away. Right when I got into the network marketing business here and didn't know exactly what I was getting into, and I started to meet people and positive people, and I'm just like, man, I don't know. They feel authentic, but is it real? And then I just kept meeting people, but you get thrown, hey, do this, get on this call, that stuff. So it can be overwhelming. And like when I work with clients, I work with fitness people, anything, and they say I'm going all in, like taking it all on, I'm changing everything. I say, pump the brake, let's change one thing at a time, because people go all in too much and it can overwhelm. And overwhelm, we lock up, like you said, we go to those defense mechanisms. That's where I used to go back to the vices of, you get locked up or overwhelmed. I'd go to the drugs, I'd go to the alcohol, I'd go to the women, and it makes you feel good in the moment. Problem's not resolved the next day, and it's still the same anxiety. So I would just tell people, just take a little bite, one step at a time, see how it feels, then add something onto it. And the next thing you know, if you keep stacking like that, every couple of months, add a new thing. A year later, 2, 3, you're never going to recognize yourself.
Yep. Now let's pause on that, because this is what I found. The mind sees that they're like a year's worth of effort. Okay. It sounds like a lot, but here's the thing. That time's going to proceed forward any direction, right? You're either going to proceed this way or you're going to stay in this lane. If you're not happy now, you will not be happy a year from now. If not, or if anything, you'll actually feel worse because you did another year of your life at the same level. Okay. And that could go, we could dive all the way into habits with that, right? But let's talk about the network marketing. I know that has a really bad stigma. I had a bad stigma about it. Obviously, we're both in it. Let's talk about how that's impacted your life, because I know you through network marketing, and we wouldn't be here if not for network marketing. How has that played a role in your personal development?
Oof, man.
That's a big one, I know.
Well, yeah. Well, I do believe there's probably a lot of good companies out there and a lot of good cultures and communities, and they're doing things right. And that's what makes me happy that people have found those. But I feel like we struck gold. I struck gold on my first round, and I understood or learned a little bit about network marketing in the past. And then people just put that pyramid thing on it, and you start to learn that it's an upside down pyramid, that no matter where you come in, you can go right to the top. Unlike a corporate ladder, you get to choose what you want out of it. But the personal development realm, man, I am personally developed. I'm in way better shape now at 36 than I was when I ran collegiate track. I also am around mentorship that I would have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get that mentorship. I'm on a team call we're in 26 different countries right now in different markets. Hundreds of thousands of people in the business, and I get mentorship from somebody that's in the top 75 people in the entire world in the company 5 days a week for nothing. And they're best friends, like reach out to each other, how are you doing, kind of stuff. I'm like, I never would have dreamt of having connections with people that successful, that are that open-hearted and servant leaders, and have nothing to do with financials. It's all about making other people better and helping raise them up. And I've never been in an atmosphere like that. It was always the top downs, kind of looking down on people. You'll never get up here. And when the people on the top of this I'm feeling are like arms stretched out, lock arms with me, I'm going to throw you up here. Let's come up here. And everybody wants everybody to win. It's taught me a winning attitude. It's taught me how to persevere. It's taught me how to get knocked down and to just get stronger and more grit and resilience. And the cool part is, and I think this is one key part across from the vulnerability aspect of the biggest transformation of where people need to work on, is quit trying to do stuff on your own. when you have a team and an army and a culture of where I've only been in your presence once or twice in my entire life. If I had something down, I would call you up in a second. I know I'd rely on you for everything. And to have people like that, like, it's unreal. Like, you could tell people this and you can't explain it in a conversation. So like, you have to come feel it to believe it. And that's really where you come into the opportunity, being open-minded, checking things out. If it's not for people, whatever it might be, whatever aspect of life, try it out. If it's not for you, take it out. The biggest regret is never trying things, because you said it is so. I've done it many times. I get to the end of a year and I'm in the same spot and it hurts worse every year.
Mm-hmm. Amen. A lot of great value in there. One thing I want to touch on though is, well, I want to touch on a lot of that. But one of the things is, when we came into this, the reason why the top leaders, Emily, Hayden, Dell, Casey, like everybody that's at the top, the reaching down, is because they were at the bottom built up. When you're in a corporate structure, leaders jump corporate to corporate. And once you're at that level, executive level, it's easier for you to stay there. And you're absolutely right. There is a flip-flop of what a pyramid scheme is. Example, I will talk Target, Best Buy, Taco Bell, anything like that, right? You start off at the bottom, generally speaking. You have to learn the processes, the systems, just like everything else. Totally cool. To ascend and become, say, store manager, what is that? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, hoping that you get it.
10 more hours a week.
And maybe 10 more hours and a lot more responsibility for what? An extra 20 grand, right? And that's also not even guaranteed. And you can only have one store manager, right? So you have base level, you have supervisors, then you have store manager. But then you get a bigger pyramid, then you have regional manager, which is a smaller number. And then you have those guys, they're higher ups, smaller. And then you have CEOs, CFOs. There's only ever 1, 2, maybe 3 of those out of the entire company structure pyramid, right? Network marketing. You enter in, you learn the processes, the systems, right? But then you have people who started at the bottom who are now impacting tens of thousands of lives. They know exactly where you're at because that's where they started. They weren't some executive that came over and transferred. They built it from the ground up. They know what you're going through. And that's a coach. That's a mentor, right? Football coaches, they played football. You wouldn't have somebody who played baseball come in as a head football NFL coach, right? They don't understand the dynamics. They didn't play the sport. They don't know what you're physically doing with your body. They could be a great analyst, but they don't know. In network marketing, they know. They know the pain of the single mom. They know the pain of the dad that can't connect with his kids and get his health on track. They know because they are that person. You find that in network marketing. Those mentorships, those programs, and they're often free. Well, not free. They do require commitment. Commitment to self-development, a commitment to growth. And honestly, it's not for everybody, which is totally cool. Some people don't want that responsibility. They like the corporate. It's safe. It's comfortable. Totally get it. But if you're listening to this and you're into personal development, if you feel like you're not achieving your full potential, guys, network marketing is one of the most efficient and fastest ways to fast track that, because it's going to hold up a psychological mirror to yourself and it's going to show you your weak points and your characters, and you're going to have to face those. And I think that's where a lot of people give up, because they're not used to this mirror coming up and having to look at these defects in their character. They don't want to work on that. So they give it a bad name. And it's so unfortunate. Now, don't get me wrong. Not every network marketing team or company is awesome. Just like cops, lawyers, teachers, we know there's good, there's bad. There's good network marketing. There's poor network marketing. There's really great companies and really crap teams, right? So don't let one experience, it's like dating, right? You don't let one bad dating experience cancel out the dating life for the rest, right? You're going to eventually date. You're going to find another partner. And for myself, I've been through like 4 different network. I did the Arbonne, I did Herbalife, not my thing, not my style. And then Isogenics really came on. Did I ever actually, do you know the story of why I joined?
As soon as you just mentioned the other 2, I had no idea you did those 2 before. So it's like,
right.
we could be great friends. I don't even know much about you.
Amen. Amen. So, So a lot of people believe their network marketing company is the best, but they never did another one. So you're going off a belief system of somebody else because you don't know. Mine's the best. It's because that's what I was told. It's the same thing with religion. Nah, my religion's the best. Did you ever study another? Did you talk with the leaders? Then you don't know. Okay. But that's why belief systems are so powerful, right? Yep. Well, I'd been through 3-4 other companies. I went through 2 insurance, WFG, Primerica, and I had PHP courting me as well. So I studied other comp plans. I studied other products. I said, blah, 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 blah. I was with a company that I really liked, and I liked the leadership. Hempworks, the CBD oil company. This is right with CBD like hit, right? And I was dedicated to that company. So I started closing my mind off to other opportunities. Okay. Well, Glory, went to high school, junior high and high school together. She's actually the first girl I ever danced with at a school dance. She taught me how to dance.
Right.
And she's like, hey, I see what you're doing over there, but I'm building a team with Emily Vavra. I'm like, who's Emily? Who cares? She's like, no, like she's one of the top network marketers in the country. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Everybody's hyping everything up these days. Whatever. I don't know this girl. She's like, well, hey, like, come at least support me. Oh, okay, well, all right, let me go check it out. I went to two meetings. Wasn't impressed. I met Emily. I met Maria. Met a couple other people. So this is before Emily hit Woman of the Year, right? So she's still on her come up. I'm like, I meet her. I'm like, cool. She's got a lot of energy. She's beautiful. She's a millionaire. Woohoo. It's funny because I'm like, I wasn't impressed. I'm like, not to say anything bad about her. She's one of the most amazing, genuine.
Then you weren't impressed. Now you've changed.
Yeah, because now I seen the magic genie, right? But we were cool, and I was kind of getting into isogenics. I'm like, this is the shake thing. This is the Herbalife, the Arbonne. I've done 2 of this already. So then we're bowling, right? And she comes up to me in the bowling alley. She's like, Alex, look, man, I know you're with another company. I know you this. I see the greatness in you. And I would love it if you came out to Nashville to our global celebration. And she actually paid for my ticket out there. So I'm like, okay, timeout. Beautiful, millionaire, successful entrepreneur just offered to invite me out to meet her executive team and hang out. Ding, 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 live. So I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go. And I went, and that's obviously where we had met in the global celebration. And wow, did I see the magic genie of what a proper network marketing, private network marketing company was doing for people, the transformations. And you heard all the stories. Emily wins Woman of the Year. And at that point, I was like, okay, this could become the core of all my income streams. And for me, tying in with you earlier, saying yes, that one conversation, that one opportunity, what it could lead to, right? And also the retrospect of that, right? Saying no, right? No is a strong word. It helps you identify where you need to go. Because if you don't know where to go, start saying no to the things that you know you shouldn't be doing. And then you'll start to figure it out from there. But saying no to something like that, when that voice, listening to that voice in the head, right? That voice in the head is like, hey man, we got to do this. Like, we got to go. And saying no to the wrong thing, the magic it could take away from your life, the magic it could take away from your contributions to society. Huge impact. Huge.
You're just saying some great stuff. I just learned something from an incredible friend of mine, Pat, who I'd never met in person, met him through this company, but we have grown and developed. And he did this thing on me. He teaches human design and how you understand yourself. You're going to do it. I'll link you up. It'll change your freaking life. You're talking about personal development. For the last couple of days, like the last day, since you really toned me in on it, there's questions you ask yourself. Every situation I get in, I ask myself certain different series of questions because I know what my human design is and where I'm aligned and when I'm unaligned. And now that I understand it, I ask myself questions. Is this in alignment with where I'm going? And the answers will no. Oh, cool. Nope, can't do that. Actually, I'm busy today. I got to do this. Or like I've asked myself 3 questions, almost a couple out loud today. And I was like, does that serve, yes. Oh, cool. Better go do it. I'm going to hook you up with it. When you figure out your alignment and where you're going, everything just flows. You smile a lot more. Everything's good. You start to meet people, like glory comes into your life. And you think it's just glory trying to be a friend or pull you from something in a situation, right? From your company. You don't find out that it's going to transform your entire life. You're going to get inspired things that you wanted to do before you were 30, to write a book, to launch to come up with your own album, to do all these different things, right?
Yep.
I guarantee from glory, taking that, them sending you to Nashville, all of that, feeling that energy in the people, that's reignited every aspect of your life to make that stuff happen much faster.
Absolutely. 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 And absolutely. So with that, let's talk about the negativity and the sedation, right? Because not everybody's ready for not everybody's ready for that accelerated growth pattern. It will scare you when things start happening, because it's not the normalcy, especially if you've gone years or decades with a certain lifestyle. And when certain things start clicking and life happens, it stretches you. And if you're not ready for that stretch, it could cause an implosion. I've seen that. I've been that.
I've been there.
I've been that, right? So let's talk about what people can start doing today, okay? And we could even backtrack all the way down to our stories, because I have the drug addictive behavioral past as well. You know, drugs, snorting, and everything. I wasn't addicted to drugs. I was just addicted to snorting things: Vicodin, meth, cocaine, Adderall. I just wanted that bite in my nose. That's what my goal was.
I'm sure you're probably like me too, or is this like you want to be the one that does the most, and got to know to like Joe's always down or Alex is always down. I know he'll party.
Yeah. That's how it was. That's how it was for a while. So let's talk about the removal of the negativity, right? How'd you get away from that? Because you had to get rid of something of that before you really started moving in this direction. And I think a lot of people want to go this way, but they're holding on back here. How did you?
Yeah. Man, you just took me to a part, and I don't expect everybody to do the things that I've done in drastic measures. But that event that I went to, and I was blowing lines 2 days before the event when I flew out to California and was with with a friend. And 2 days before I go to this event that's going to change my life, I was ripping lines. And then the day before, a friend was like, got some lined up and was like, I think I'm done. And he's like, oh, you're not going to do them today? And I was like, I think I'm done forever. Like, it started to dawn on me. And then that third day, just the integrity piece of looking 96 people in the event in the eye and telling them that I was done, because the instructors is like, awesome. Well, I'm proud of you for coming up and saying that, all that stuff. How are you going to prove that you're going to stay true to it? And I was like, I don't know, call my parents. And just like, okay, when are you going to do that? And I was like, it's late. I'll call them in the morning. Never been so nervous. Called them, chatted for a second, brought it up. Cool. We support everything. Proud of you. I was like, whoa, that went a lot different. I mean, there's more to it, but it went that way. And then just promising them to him that I was done with it. It solidified it. I was just like, I can't. Was I tempted? 100%. Because I went back to a place where I was at, where then nobody's bad. I mean, everybody, I think a lot of people party and do that stuff, and they're not bad people. It is what it is. It served a purpose in my life, and it doesn't serve me going forward. You know, it played its role. It was, it was fun, whatever. But I went back around it, and it was just always around it. And I was committed in that little like internal, like that devil and the angel. Just go ahead, just do one. You've been good for a couple of weeks, all those internal things. 2-3 months, man, the loneliest I've ever been, because I had to avoid so many situations. I was alone. I kept myself. And then fast forward a little bit longer, I ended up just moving states. Got around some different family, different people. Honestly, moved to a location where a lot of our team and Isogenics and mentors and people I looked up to were at. And it was a transition I didn't want to do, but it's changed everything. So I just changed my atmosphere. I got around people that thought different. I wasn't saying, hey, I don't want to be your friend anymore to people. It's just I gave more positive people that were going where I wanted to go instead of where I was at, where they were way ahead of me. I gave them more of my time and energy and a little bit less to, the old servant stuff. And over time, it's just blown up. And man, it's very few times that I'm not happy anymore.
Yep. You always got a smile on your face, man. And you said it great. And I talk about this in my book. society, the DARE, the drug abuse, all that, the education programs, they always told and taught me, and share, let me know if this was the same for you guys. Marijuana is the gateway drug, right? Isn't that the slogan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's false. Friends are.
Ooh.
Your friends are the gateway keepers for positive and negative influences. Okay.
Yeah.
And eventually, what happens is you become that gatekeeper for someone else, either negative or positive. And that's how social evolution, the dynamics of social evolution. You become a doctor because we have energy. Energy flows through us. That energy needs to go somewhere. Some of us exercise creatively, fitness, building. That energy flows through. You're going forward some direction. If you're with the negative crowd, the negative vibes, the negative energy, if you're around that, you will manifest that and you will expel that out. Right? When we start to close that off, and this is what a lot of people, what I've found in my programs and coaching, and through writing my book, is if it's your friends or your gateway drugs, right? And if they're negative, it's because you have not established a boundary. You are going with the flow and you're being reactive. That is not a proactive mindset. You're being tossed around. Life is doing what it wants with you and you're not taking a stand. Now to do that, it takes courage, right? And courage is difficult. You still have the fear, but that's what courage is. You're still fearful, but you accept the challenge. And there's also this other thing, right? It's not about winning or losing. It's did you accept the challenge? Right? You might have lost a championship game, but you're still a champion.
I never used to.
Right? And
yeah. Man, love how you put that.
Right? Right. So did you accept the challenge? Like accept the challenge. Understand that and I think failure is the worst word that we've adopted in society, because fear, failure, that is comes from uncertainty, risk. If you knew it was going to work out, if you knew buying that stock was going to blow up, you wouldn't have any fear. You'd do it, right? But that fear, that uncertainty, understanding that those are success hurdles that are meant to, one, test you. Do you really want this? Life says, because when you challenge life, hey man, I'm on a better path. I want to lose weight. These are my goals. Life goes, okay, motherfucker. All right, obstacle, get through those. And then once you get through those, that's the hero's journey, right? That's why we love Star Wars. That's why we love, all the hero stories, the movies, the literature and everything like that, is because the trial, the tragedy. We want to see the hero fall, but we want to see him succeed. The hero's journey, we're the heroes. Understand that we are our own Princess Leia's, Luke Skywalker's, right? Those success hurdles that builds your character. It's like in a video game. To beat this boss in this dungeon, you have to get this new item in this new skill set. Otherwise, you can't beat the boss. So when you're on that level, you got to get these skill sets, this new mindset, then you can beat the boss, you level up. And then boom, and then boom, and then boom, boom, right? New level, new devil. There's never an end, by the way. There's never an end. Because once you achieve those visions and those skill sets, now you have all this magic power. And then you're going to be like, oh, what can I do with this now? Next. And you accomplish the next feat, the next feat, the next feat. And I see that manifesting through you, because you popped your head up. You said, all right, man, I don't want to be here anymore. All right. And I did the same thing with my friends, right? My best friends, I had to tell one to F off at one point. I said, support me or get the F out of my way, because you're not that friend to me anymore. And then that cleared a huge emotional channel for me to move forward, right? Setting those boundaries. So when you pop your head up, you're like, okay, now let's go this direction, right? And you've crushed that path, man. Crushed.
I receive that. I appreciate it. I'll go back to what I said before. Just don't go at it alone. I had this inside of me the whole time. I just didn't know it. I got around people that saw more in me than I've ever seen in myself. And I borrowed their belief for 2-3 years, right? Mm-hmm. And just every month, every year, everything like that, every 3 years, like every little bit, I believed in myself more and more and more and more. So you're talking about association, the people you're around either support me or get the F out of the way. Like everybody that I'm around now, 99% of the time is support. And it is. And it's just like, holy cow, it's so scary and nerve wracking. Like I know I'm holding back from my true potential. I feel like I'm about to erupt, and seeing inspiring people like you and knowing that we're on the same journey and path and the things you're accomplishing. It's like, dude, he did it and he survived. Like, oh, you're going to make it. Like, just do it. The worst thing is you're going to regret it at the end of the year if you just didn't do it. Like, you're going to feel way down on the inside. But that association, the people you're around, is so freaking crucial. So crucial. And it's not like you just said, it's not like you don't have to tell friends you don't like them anymore. It's just they get a little less of my time. I've had some friends like, do you not like me anymore? And I said, no, I do. I'm just doing this right now. If you're welcome to join me, you can come on this journey. I'd love for you to develop too. You got a lot more in than you think, but you got to be ready. You know, when you're ready, I'm here. I'm just spot on my train whenever you want to come, man. Sit in here. Let's get better together. And I think that's really, really beautiful. But you got to be your own vice.
You brought up a really great point right there. Just say, hey, I love you still. I'm doing this, and my friends have learned to accept that about me, right? Because my childhood friends that knew me from the party stage, they see the growth. Now, let's talk about what happens when you achieve that level of success in your life, right? What do you think that you now how do I want to put this? You being that light in your life, what do you think that's done for the people around you?
Man. When you hear powerful things and how great you are and how much you inspire and motivate and make people want to achieve more, and especially ones that have seen where you were, I started to believe it. I've had some friends that, my best friend, he's just like, man, I'm just so freaking proud of the turns that you've made. I've never seen anybody transform that much in such a short period of time. Always got your back, even if we don't talk for long periods, whatever, it's always there. I've had other friends that have reached out, you know, maybe that felt distance at a time, and they saw me go do this and almost 4 years clean from that party stuff, right? And you have your own vices. Everybody's got their own. I still got addictions and habits and stuff that I'm trying to get rid of too. So by no means, don't ever look at me as like perfect. I've gotten rid of some things that don't serve me, but there's a lot of things I need to improve. But I've had some of those friends that say, hey, do you think you could help me with that? Like, how'd you do? Would you support me? So knowing that people respect and value because they know that I'm not preaching something that I've never been through. They know where I was at to where I went and seen it. Like, they want that too. That makes me feel really good. And I'll be honest, man, I have a really tough time. I've been working on it. I've always struggled with compliments. So when people compliment me, I always deflected them. I just didn't feel worthy of it. And I'm still working on it. So when people compliment me, I just try to say I received that just to accept it, even though it doesn't feel great all the time, even though it is great. I'm still working on it. But when I get text messages from people, got one today from somebody that I know, I changed her life. I saved it. And it crazy. We don't have to get into the complete story, but message that said today is, you really don't have any idea how positive an impact you have changed my entire life in 1 year. And getting messages like that, it's just like, I typically keep them to myself and stuff, but when I get that, dude, it's just like a power surge. I'm just like, I was going to relax for a little bit today. No, I need to go check on 5 more people just to see how they're doing.
Yep.
You know, so, you know, that's the surge. It's knowing that you're changing people's lives, man, because people changed my life. That's the way the world's supposed to work, man. Imagine if you just did something nice for everybody in that energy, because the world's like, what, 80, 90% just energy and a little bit of matter. So if everybody just smiled at the same time, at the same part of the day across the world, imagine that energy would go, and it's our job to just radiate that. I feel when I walk into a room, people are like, damn, well, let's be happy. You know, that's the energy I want to give to people.
Amen. Now, let's touch on three levels of people, right? You have, okay, when you pursue your life, you live some of the voice and you try and chase the vision of yourself, your future self, right? You start to ascend. That means your light, your energy radiates. Your vibe is higher, stronger, more impactful, right? Contagious. Okay. So you have the high vibers, the ascension achievers, right? You have the people in the middle that are like, Where do I want to go? I know I don't want to be there, but how do I get there, right? You got the people in the middle, and you got those, the cynics, the pessimists, right? That look up and they're like, nah, no, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, blah, 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 blah. The more we go and strive to achieve our life's potential, the brighter we burn for everybody else that's in the middle looking to get up, right? Because these people exist and they are trying to keep everybody down to the level, because everybody that rises, psychologically it impacts them. Like, well, everybody's up there, that means I'm down here. And that deflates their self-worth. It's the crab theory. You pull one crab out, they try to pull the other crab back, right? And you said it perfectly. You know, we're meant to be high vibing people. We are meant to be healthy, right? And that's one thing about, like, you know, with isogenics and nutrition and products that I've picked up recently, or that I've really grown to believe in, is people always question the health products, right? Like, wow, what makes this healthy, right? Why should I take this, right? But we've grown accustomed to having the fatigue, the depression, the anxiety, all this stuff that's now normal aspects of life. And we've accepted that. But we're as humans, we're not meant to be here, right? We're meant to be here. Universally, humans meant to be here. So anybody that's listening to this, which category do you fall in? Are you the salty person? Are you always trying to tear everybody else down? Are you trying to like burn bridges so yours looks bigger, right? Are you caught in the middle and you don't know which direction to go? Or are you just like, no, dude, I align with this and I want to be a light for others? You know, it's a great question for everybody.
Yeah. Caught me analyzing that too. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I definitely sit in a lot of those categories. But the cool thing is when I hit that bottom one of like a little bit, or if I hit a jealousy note in my mind, I'm like, why? They've like, maybe what can I learn from them? I want that too, right? And my switch just goes much quicker. I don't stew in it. But when I hear people talk about, and I'm sure we've heard this, right? All the time we hear it, but ask yourself, you know, how well am I applying it? And it's like, when people like complain and talk about other people behind their back, like, you don't know their story. You don't know how they were raised. You don't know what they're going through. They might be just taking their pain out on you because they can't do it at home. And you don't know that stuff. So you never know the battle somebody's going through. Don't judge it. Don't critique yourself. Just try to get to that middle ground and try to dip into people who are on that top ground. You know, sit in that middle ground. At least if you're in the bottom, get to that middle. Don't think about having to get all the way to the top right away. And just, those are those personal development, picking up one habit at a time, picking up another one, being around Alex more, listening to some of his shares and stuff, because he's been through the trenches. Like, listen to it. Like, I promise you're always going to pick something good from it. And if you get around people that are like, hey, I was here, but I'm here now. It wasn't always easy. You can relate. You get out of that third one. That third one's dangerous. That bottom one.
Very dangerous.
The critic.
Very dangerous. Let's talk about imposter syndrome. And I've been on Clubhouse, and one of the main issues that people, even successful people who are achieving 6 and 7 figures, they still suffer from a version of imposter syndrome. Did you ever feel like you had any of that? Still have that? And if so, how'd you beat it?
100%. Absolutely. I have imposter syndrome many times. So I gave up the hard drugs. Cocaine was my thing. And, you know, and I gave it up, and I just declared that. I was doing it almost on a daily basis. Even the people I was around knew we did it much, but they didn't know that was my coffee in the morning and stuff too. And I gave that up. But then at the same time, in those depressing, like 2-3 months, I found myself like justifying my head, like smoke a little weed just to calm your nerves and stuff like that. Like, oh, you're an imposter. Like, weed's a drug. Like, you just said that you gave up drugs. And then I just stew that stuff around my head, right? That was my biggest imposter moment. And then like even talking with like Hayden and stuff today, he's like, so are you completely like sober and stuff? And I was just like, last year I probably had like 10 to 12 drinks. Spaced out throughout the year. I was like, not complete, but like I just don't do it very often. I consider myself sober from like the hard stuff. This year I'm not going to drink at all, but like I don't tell people like have fun around me. I just like to challenge myself to get a little bit better every year. So I went with like 12-pack last year, and now this year I'm going with none. Just those small margins. It's whatever you want. But do I have imposter syndrome in that? Isabody challenge thing you brought up right out the gates here is like, I used to set kind of mediocre goals, and then I said I was going to win it. And then COVID hit and they took the gym away after 3 months of being in the gym. And I was like, well, there's no way I can do that. And then I shrunk a little bit and I was like, there's no chance that I get, that recognition again. There's no way I can. And then I got selected and it blew my freaking mind. And I felt like an imposter because I hadn't held true to like the best. I was like, I could have done better. I could have done more. I could have, pushed harder. I could have gotten bigger. I could have found new ways. I ran all that through my head. So I have imposter syndrome often, but I give myself grace in a much shorter period of time. I'm like, you know what? What can you do better? What didn't go so good, and what are you going to do different next time? I ask those questions to myself every single day. What went good, what didn't, and what can I do better next time? And that's how we grow. So that's how I get through imposter syndrome too. I'm not stewing it too much and just figure out how I can, get through it next time.
Love that, man. Now, for those of you that don't know what imposter syndrome is, or if you're just hearing it for the first time, it's basically you not believing that you are the person that you're either meant to be or you're portraying yourself to be. A hypocrite is an example of that, right? Like, for instance, if Joe and I were to sit here and be like, oh yeah, man, we got all these addiction behaviors and like we're 100% clean, sober, blah, blah, blah. And then 2 hours later, I'm going to go do some lines of blow. That's a form of it. There's also another form where you're not doing those and you are qualified to give that advice, but you haven't achieved the social recognition for it, right? Now, check this out, okay? And I think this is one of my favorite thoughts that I've had in the past couple of weeks, because it's on Clubhouse often. I'm like, okay, let's dive into this. What is this? It's tied to the ego, okay, in a way. We compare ourselves to others, right? I'm a writer. I'm not a published author, and I don't have recognition for it. But
yeah,
Tolkien, exactly. Tolkien, J.K. Rowling, anybody else, J.R.R. Martin, they were the writer before they become the recognized writer. This validation is tied to the ego. And unless we have this, oftentimes we feel we're an imposter. Like even when I had it when I was writing my music album, and I used to tell people like, oh yeah, I'm an EDM producer. Like, oh dude, well, like, where's your music? I was like, oh, well, I don't have it complete yet. And you don't have anything to show. I actually started to believe, I was like, well, I have the vision and I know I'm on this path, but I have yet to achieve it. So therefore, can I or can I not say that I am? When in actuality, you are the artist. You are that in that vision. You are that. And the reason why you are is because you have that vision. You could have any other vision in the world, baby. You could have any vision, but that's the vision you had. Therefore, that is reflective of your character, your higher self, right? You don't have to have that achievement to be that person because it's already within you. Now, we were talking about identity earlier, and I think this is a great point to introduce the two identity concept. Have we ever discussed that before, bro?
I have no idea where you're going, but I'm excited about it.
Okay. So, and this kind of ties into the imposter syndrome a little bit, a form of it, right? So, I talked about this in my book. Everybody has two identities on my account, right? Some psychologists say you have 3 masks, whatever. There's those theories out there, but I think there's really only 2, right? You have your social identity, and this is how the world sees you and people that fit your profile, right? Now, with this, society says certain things about those individuals, right? They're Black, they're this part of town, they're this demographic, they're this religion, okay? Well, if you fit that profile and society is saying positive and negative things about that character that you associate yourself with, you inherently adopt certain beliefs and systems, right? Limiting beliefs, things like that. Okay, that social identity is what society says about somebody like you, and you kind of adopt that. On the flip side, right, is your personal identity. These are the stories that you know to be true about yourself that maybe you have not shared with others because we're fearful of not being accepted by society. Okay, that too can impregnate, foster growth with imposter syndrome, because now you're acting out of character and out of alignment to fit in rather than being true to yourself and being your personal identity, which is what you're made to be. Once you accept that and you hit that personal identity and you start to express that outward, that is where your sunshine and your light is, and that's where your alignment is. And I have a theory, that's why we love musicians, rock stars, artists, because they are the truest form of expressions of themselves for the most part, because they're playing, they're living that out, and a lot of us are not. And therefore is another form of imposter syndrome. When you're not in alignment with your character, you're acting out in other ways, and you're doing things that pull you down to fit in with society, but you're not being true to yourself. That's another form of it. And I think that's where I would argue, or not, I don't want to say argue, but I would discuss that majority of people would fall into that category. What do you think?
100%. And some things were coming up for me there, and awareness of where I was doing that. And when I started to have a physical transformation with the company that we're with, and I feel like I'm pretty well spoken, so people would have me stand up and share story. I used to tell people the story that I thought they wanted to hear. Now the products worked. It's transformed this. My energy's up. This community is fantastic. Awesome. You know, and now I want to help everybody feel that too. And then it was one moment in Nashville, I believe it was there, maybe it was NYKO in Arizona. It was when Zach Slobin gave his Fight Back speech and talked about
global,
laying on his mom's couch, thinking about wanting to commit suicide, but what's the least painful way he could do it when she found him? And all the thoughts were going through my head, and I was like, I've been an imposter. I haven't been sharing my true story. And I started to share the story of the real stuff of where I was, and the connections I've had have been so much more pure. I don't have to feel weird about it anymore. I feel like I've stepped into that identity and kind of chipped away at that imposter that I used to try to pretend. And the imposter wasn't, lying in the first place. It just was holding information. And that's kind of what you talked about. I was withholding stuff that I felt was protecting me, but it wasn't really who I was. It's crazy when you get that freeing feeling and you just step into the vulnerability and don't have to worry about failure. And other thing that came up to me that I wanted to say was, and this is for everybody, you're never going to be criticized by anyone doing more than you, only those doing less. So you're talking about those 3 levels and those people below. If people are bringing you down, they're probably unhappy too. And they just, like you said, they're going to lower you to their level because they're upset or something's hurting them. And they want what you've got. They just don't have the courage and way to ask for it. So that could be a cry for help, but you're never going to be criticized. People criticize you for what you're doing. You feel aligned. Your heart feels there. You're around good people. Don't slow down. Don't let the critics and the naysayers bring you down, because they're the ones that are doing less. And it's just uncomfortable for them seeing people do more. I see you doing more than me, and I'm not like, damn, Alex, like, frick, man, this kid's killing it. Like, oh, I'm so jealous. He's getting all this attention. I'm just like, all right, how can I be around him more? I'm just going to follow him more and learn. He's writing a book. Cool. I'm going to write a book too. I've always wanted to do it. Now he's inspired me to start it up. Like, that's the way that my switch is going. And instead of the naysayers and the down, it's like, cool, how can I take some of his superhero powers and maybe learn from him? Maybe we supercharge each other and we go faster together. And, that's the way we think. Somebody's doing more, look up to him. Don't look down on him.
Absolutely. And with that, that's why it's so important to be your true self, because these people down here, they need the love. They need the kindness. They need the positive reinforcement. And the more people that are lights around them, light will cast out darkness. Darkness can never cast out light. Darkness exists, but when you bring that candle in, darkness can't take that candle out.
Ooh.
It can't. You can have the biggest room, complete dark. You got that candle, the darkness can't touch the candle at all. So as long as you're your true self, these guys will never touch you. But these guys need us 100,000%. Okay. And absolutely right, Joe. You need to write a book, man. Hell yes.
It's on the goal list for the year, so we're starting.
I think you writing a book would absolutely, bro. Absolutely, bro. And to tie that back in with our network marketing team, how many authors are on our team right now? There's me, you got Joe. He just released his. I don't think Emily's announced it, but I could put money she's got something coming up. I think I'd put money that she's going to have a book someday.
My friend Jenny, she's just about to launch her. She's got it, everything finished up. I think she's launched it in March. And she's a friend I met through this, and she asked me to coach her actually at one point about almost 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, she asked me to coach her. And I was like, yeah, let's talk about it. And at the point, typically, a lot of times you're just like, ooh, client, money, right? But I was just like, well, I'm gonna figure out what you want. What's your biggest goals? What's your biggest vision? And I'll see if I can support you with it. And her thing was she's been through like bad relationships, domestic abuse, verbal and physical. And she has to get a book out, right, to save people's lives. I've been thinking about it for 5-6 years and I just don't know where to start. And she said, I sat up for 3 hours last night trying to figure out how to do this. And I said, well, would it be beneficial to you if I knew a writing and publishing author that was a coach and would help you from start to finish? She's like, what? You know that? Line them up. She got in it. She's been coaching her. She's writing her book. She's got it all out. Just like who you know, right? And it's about alignment and that stuff. So there's a lot of, I'm sure there's more authors that we just don't know of.
Oh, absolutely. Now, you touched on a key point in there. That pain, people have been through pain, need to express that. Why? My answer is because your tragedies and how you beat that is power somebody else can glean. So if you keep these tragedies and triumphs to yourself, you're not serving as the light or the guide for somebody that's hurting in silence. And if you think about what's happening in society right now, suicide rates are up, depression's up, all these negative things are up, right? People need to know that they're not alone, especially the younger generation. And that's the whole thing, tragedy through triumph, guys.
Oh, you tied that in so beautifully. Whew.
I'm getting good, baby.
This isn't your first time, man. That is, I'm so glad that we just had all this. Like, you just gave me so many breakthroughs just in this that I'm going to focus on and work on.
Beautiful. That's what this is all about, man. And I love this platform. I love being able to tell people stories and where we're at, where we're going. Because in the grand scheme of things, we're more connected than ever, but emotionally, I think that we're disconnected. We're disconnected with our own emotions. We see what we should be through social media, what a high achiever looks like. And I'm going to call it as it is. It's great. It's all bullshit though. We're all buying into so much bullshit. The political war, the race war, the economic war. We're just bullshit's everywhere. The best thing I believe a human can do right now to impact this world is reach for their higher selves. Be that light. Take a stand. That, to quote Zach Slobin, fight back. And I'm super proud of you because that's exactly what you did. You embody that. You embody the BreatheHuman ethos. It's amazing.
Oh man, I receive that. You just gave me like the chills from there. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm working on receiving compliments. You hit me with that one and it felt good.
Yeah. You and I are more a lot alike than we realize, because for me, compliments, like, I mean, I just like, hey, man, thank you. Thank you so much. And I know you use humor like I do to deflect compliments.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, like we are really the same person. You're just a little bit better looking.
Yeah. Yeah. See, there you go. I just look at it as like, I'm just a being, dude. I'm just here. I'm only hot if other people say I'm hot. If they say I'm ugly, then I guess I'm ugly. But that's that social identity.
Yeah.
That's the social identity right there. You could not be hot by today's standards, and you could be the most confident person in the room and be sexy as hell.
That's great. Now I'm working on that. You know, like you just said, strive for better, strive for the higher yourself, right? Mine has to be more confident, you know, more accepting of good things coming your way and not deflecting. And I think that is a very solid attribute to have.
Amen. Amen. So, man, let's wrap this up. I know we went through some amazing stuff right here, guys. Joe, he's got an amazing journey, amazing influence in our network marketing team, Isogenics. If you guys want more information, guys, you got to check out Joe. He's done it. He knows it. He's, as a man, I mean, how would you want to say your body was before this transformation? Before that, the sexy bod transformation?
Man. The silly thing is I don't weigh much different from then. It's crazy when you don't do any physical activity from being an athlete. I didn't have much muscle on me. I was skinny and I was never fat. But I had like a little bit of a rounded belly, like a little bit. There was no abs at all. I've packed on quite a few pounds of muscle now. And, you know, you fuel your body with what it needs. It'll do incredible things. And that's really just the motto I live by. But yeah, man, I looked like the nerd on the playground in my before pictures a few years back, and now I look like the jerk that probably picked on him.
Yep. When I re-edit this, I'm gonna see if I can get a photo of your before and afters and put it in right here.
That'd be funny.
But all right, man, let's wrap this up. Joe, thank you so much for your time. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this. Joe, where can people find you? You prefer Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, LinkedIn? What are you on?
Yeah, so I have a task by a mentor of mine, Pat, who I said talked to me about the human design, who I'll link you up. I have to get my Clubhouse profile up here within the next couple hours. So you can find me on Clubhouse, Joe Fettig, just plain and simple. Instagram, joe.fettig. You can definitely find me on Facebook too, but I'm probably most active on Instagram.
Cool. Awesome. I'll be sure to make sure your Instagram link. So for those of you guys looking at it, you'll see his Instagram link right below that beautiful face of his. And that's it, guys. Happy day. Believe in your magic. Believe that you're here for beautiful things. And when society says you're not special, tell them to F off, because you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.